Denton, Texas. The game will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Central, and will be televised on the Stadium Network. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the call today. If you would take a minute to just tell us how your preseason went as you prepare for the season opener against North Texas, please.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited. I mean, I've been really pleased with the way the players have responded and the level of buy-in and everything really since we got here. And I feel like we've made tremendous strides since the spring. I came out of spring training a little bit uncertain about, what our team was going to look like. We had a lot of players coming off of injuries. Jordan Wyatt was coming off of a knee injury, and he's been a good player around here. Kyron Mitchell, just a bunch of different players that didn't go through spring ball, a couple of O-linemen that have been good players for us. So, we tried to piece some stuff together this spring and looked okay at times and came out of there with a lot of questions. And, fortunately, with the addition of those players and the number of transfers and grad transfers that we have that'll be playing for us, we're a much different team than we were in the spring. And so I've been encouraged by that. I think we've had a good fall camp. We've stayed healthy, and we're excited. We know that North Texas is a 9-win team, returned 17 or 18 starters. They're gonna have a really good football team. I think their quarterback, Mason Fine, is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college football. You just look at his numbers. The thing that's really impressive about those guys is they did a tremendous job of winning games late and putting together game-winning drives. And, the team has a lot of grit. So we've had a good fall camp, and we're looking forward to a really challenging football game on Saturday.
We'll take questions now for Coach Sonny Dykes. Again, hit *1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
We'll now take our first question from Billy Amodi. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, Billy. How are you?
Good. Wanted to get your thoughts on just the offensive line. I know that was a position that you guys brought in a lot of competition, junior college, and just wanted to hear kind of how it all worked out and if you guys feel like you guys have the right mix heading into game week.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we have now is we have competition. And I think that's what makes your football team better is, when you're a player and you have to show up and you have to perform every day in practice to hold on to your spot. So, we have some guys that have been starters around here right now that are fighting for jobs. We added a bunch of players, junior college kids that have come in that are competing really hard right now for jobs. Larry Hughes is a grad transfer that we got from Kansas, and he's come in and given us a really big body, great size, and a lot of experience, playing in the Big 12. And Nick Dennis is a junior college transfer that's come in and done really well as well. And so we have great competition right now at the center spot between Hayden Howerton and Harrison Barton. We like our depth at the guard position. Jacob Fedora and Nick Dennis have both performed well during fall camp. Freshman that has come in and really made a difference for us is Jalen Thomas. Jalen is, we think he has a chance to be a really good player. We're starting to come into his own and missed about a week of practice due to an injury, but he's a guy that has a very bright future. So, we feel like we've got a pretty good two deep on our offensive line right now, and I think going into fall camp that was a huge question mark for us. We just coming out of spring ball, we just never really got settled in there, and fortunately we've had some guys move in and had some guys perform at a high level, and we have a lot of competition right now, which is encouraging.
And just as a follow-up, on North Texas, this game for them means it's their Super Bowl to start off the year. How do you look at this game from both just a matchup and then the perspective of going against a team right down the road?
Yeah, I think it's a big game for them. I mean, I think it always is. I think it's a big game for us too. Anytime it's your first game of the season, it's always important. They're in year 3 in their program. Their kids kind of know what to expect. they've had 3 years in this style of offense, 3 years in the style of defense they've got. They're 3 years in special teams and all the different things, strength and conditioning, and so they're a group that's has improved every year. I think first year they were a 5-win team, and they improved to 9 last year. And they're the thing that's probably most impressive about them when you turn the film on, though, is just how hard they play. And I think that's a credit to Coach Luttrell and the coaching staff there. I think that's your primary job as a football coach, is get your kids to play hard, and they do. They play very hard, and they play disciplined football, and so they're going to be a big challenge for us. And it's I think it's a good measuring stick game for them. And I know it's a big game for those guys, and something they've been pointing to since last season. I had the sense that they felt like they didn't put their best foot forward in last year's game against SMU. Took a 10-0 lead, and then SMU kind of rallied later in the game, and really in the first half, and kind of pulled away. And I'm sure they've had this circled on their schedule for a long time, and so we certainly better be ready to play. We better play at a high level, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Andrew Doherty from Hero Sports. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks for the time. Some coaches around the country have said there could be a need for an FBS commissioner to oversee things that are best for the entire game, all 10 conferences, not what's best for a certain conference, certain situation. And obviously the Division I Council exists, and there are several NCAA reps. But, as somebody who's been in the game for a really long time now, have you given any thought to an FBS commissioner, any opinion if a commissioner is necessary?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one thing that makes college football a little bit unique, is that you have these different conferences that operate in kind of their own little world and their own little autonomy. You have some leagues that play 8 conference games, other leagues that play 9. When you start talking about teams, the SEC, what they do is really smart when it comes to scheduling. And the fact they play 8 conference games, and they play a lot of non-conference opponents, kind of weaker non-conference opponents, right in the middle of the SEC schedule. So the SEC has made a very concerted effort to give their teams the best opportunity to get into the national championship game, and I think or into the college football playoff, and I think it's certainly paid off for them. When you look at history, they've obviously had really good teams as well, but they've also been pretty creative and ahead of everybody else when it comes to doing that. And I think the idea was from other conferences, and I certainly heard this when I've coached in other conferences, was that, hey, look, we're going to force the SEC to go to a 9-game schedule, and we're going to force them to do this with their out-of-conference scheduling, and you're not going to force the SEC to do anything. They're the ones kind of that have made some pretty good decisions when it comes to providing with their teams the best opportunities to get to the college football playoff and eventually win a national championship. So I think that there needs to be somebody that oversees all of college football and creates some kind of consistency when it comes to conferences, just because it doesn't make a lot of sense for one league to play 9 games and one league to play 8, and one league to schedule 3 Power 5 teams or whatever the case may be, and another to not. And so there's a lot of different different ideas going on, and I think the more uniform the game can become, the more fair it's going to become, and so I do think there needs to be somebody that oversees it. How you go about doing that is probably going to be a little bit more difficult. The devil's always in the details, and how is that going to work? But I do think it would be good for college football, and I think it makes sense, and I think you want to try to make it as uniform as you can across all the conferences.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Have a good week.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any further questions for Coach Sonny Dykes, please? Star 1 on your telephone keypad, if so. Well, Coach, thank you for your time this morning. We look forward to talking to you again next Monday.
Okay, appreciate it.